Please be aware that the comments, views, opinions shared on this podcast are not meant to diagnose a medical problem and/or legal problem. If you do have a medical problem or legal problem, kindly contact a professional.
Welcome to An Apple a Day, a podcast, a resource, a community. Share your experiences and learn from others as we overcome barriers and learn to live a happy, healthy life with a disability. Welcome to the community. Here's your host, Jimmy Apple.
Welcome to another episode of An Apple a Day. I'm your host, Jimmy Apple. An Apple a Day is brought to you by www.famousapple.com. Famousapple.com is the home site for this podcast, and there you're going to find articles about the topics we discuss here. You're going to find access to our social networking pages. You're going to find access to our private message boards, access to our private chat rooms. You can join the conversations that are going on over there. And the best part about it is it's all free. It's all free. So you get a chance, you get a minute, go over, check out www.famousapple.com. So how you doing this week, my friends? You feeling good, feeling strong, feeling happy? That's the way I want to hear it. That's it. That's the way to be. You still doing all your exercises? You still following up with therapy or doing the exercises at home? Excellent. Outstanding. I know I spoke about this last week, and I'm going to speak about it again this week. This podcast is spreading its wings and is taking off like beyond belief for me at the moment. We're spreading out across the world. We're now in 35 different countries. We're now being heard in 35 different countries. We have listeners, registered listeners. And these countries are, naturally, United States of America. We have Hungary, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, India, Germany, Denmark, Pakistan, Israel, Thailand, Mexico, Vietnam, Ecuador, Egypt, Indonesia, Spain, Sweden, France, the Netherlands, the Islamic Republic of Iran, Bangladesh, Ghana, Iceland, Kuwait, Chile, Finland, Ireland, Kazakhstan, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Belgium. Welcome, everybody. Everybody is welcome here at An Apple a Day. They're welcome at www.famousapple.com. This just shows that our community is spreading out and people are hearing us. People are getting involved with us. And this is great. This is phenomenal. Like I said, I want to welcome everybody. Everybody is welcome here. So we're going to have a pretty good one today. I have a letter here. And when I first got this letter, I was a little bit taken back by it. Then I read it a couple of dozen times. And I saw that, maybe I'm wrong. But I want to read this letter to you. Let me know what you think. All right? Now, first off, it's not Jimmy Apple. It's not Jimmy. It's not Jim. It's not Mr. Apple. It's just written Apple. I've listened to your little podcast for several months now. You're all positive and don't give up. Things can be worse. Maybe for you or some of your other people, but for me, it can't be any worse. I'm 30 years old. My life is over. I had an accident while dirt biking on vacation 7 years ago. I'm crippled from the waist down. I have a colostomy bag, probably for the rest of my life. I lost a lot of the use of my left arm from multiple breaks. I sued the place because the track wasn't maintained properly, and I lost my case. They said I did this at my own risk. All of my plans are shot, and now I'm in this effing wheelchair like a lump of excrement. Take your look at the bright side crap and stuff it up your poop chute. Of course, he's using different words. I'm trying to make it so that I can keep a clean rating on the podcast. I just had to get this off my chest. You don't know how everyone else feels. Jordan. Okay, Jordan, let me just start off by saying this. You're right. I don't know how everybody else feels. I know how I feel. I'm in a wheelchair myself, Jordan. I'm missing a leg, and I have very little use of my right leg. I've had a couple of strokes. I've had 3 strokes. I've had 2 heart attacks. So yeah, I'm kind of stuck in the wheelchair for the rest of my life as well. But let me ask you this, Jordan. You're crippled. It could be worse. Couldn't it be worse? Couldn't you be dead from that fall? It must have been some accident, some fall. And I'm sorry. I feel sorry for you. I can only imagine how bad that must have hurt. I can only imagine how tragic it must have felt. But couldn't it have been worse? Couldn't you have died in that accident? You don't tell me whether or not you're married or if you have any kids or anything, but I'm going to assume that maybe you're married. Wouldn't your wife or your girlfriend, wouldn't they feel a big loss had you not made it through this accident? What about your family and your friends? All right, so you're crippled. Are you still breathing, my friend? I'm sure you're still breathing. All right, you can't use your left arm that much. You don't tell me how much you can't use it, but I'm assuming you can use it somewhat, right? You can move it a little bit. You didn't say it's totally dead. So that's a good thing. That's positive. All right, so you got a colostomy bag. I don't know what it's like to have a colostomy bag. I have friends that have them. And what's the alternative? If your intestines were that mangled up, what's the alternative? Death? Isn't it better to have a bag than to be dead? You said you're 30 years old. 30 years old. You got a whole life to live ahead of you. And so you're in a wheelchair. What makes you think that you're a lump of feces? You're not. Can you still get around? Do you have an electric wheelchair? I'm sure you must. If you don't, you're eligible for it. You can still get around. I mean, you have limited use of your left hand, your left arm. You have no use of your legs. You only have your right hand to maneuver a manual wheelchair. They don't expect you just to go in circles. So you have an electric wheelchair. You can still go places. You can still go out. Evidently, you were wearing headgear because you can think, you can see, you can talk. A good thing is you're very argumentative. Yeah, I mean, you just told me off. You gave me your point of view. That's a good thing. You know, you have to look for the positives. And I know it's easy to look at the negatives. It's easy to look at it and say, I'm stuck in this chair. I can't go out, and I can't run, and I can't climb trees, and I can't climb mountains. And all right, so you can't. If you stop now looking at the things that you can't do, start focusing on the things that you can do. Think about the things that you can do. Can you still get up from bed? All right, so maybe you use the trapeze bar to get out of bed. But you can still get out of bed, right? And you can still move around in your house, right? And you can still go outside and get fresh air in your lungs. You're not confined to a bed, so that's definitely a plus. All right, so you can't do the things you planned. There's a lot of things. All of us that are probably listening to this right now have things that we had planned to. None of us planned to be disabled. Nobody went through their childhood saying, well, when I get older, I'm going to be disabled. So no, we all had plans. We all had different ideas of what was going to happen with our lives. But unfortunately, we got dealt the blow that we got dealt. You know, personally, I planned on owning a big business. I planned on doing a lot of other things other than what I'm doing right now. But here I am. So I had to just rearrange what my plans were. All right, I can't do the things that I used to do. I can't go hunting anymore. I used to love to go hunting. I didn't want to kill anything. I didn't want to get any animal. I didn't want to kill any animals, but I liked getting out in the woods. I liked walking through the woods. I liked target shooting. I can't do that anymore. I used to love to go boating. I used to love to go swimming off the boats. Can't do that anymore. But does that mean my life is over? I used to love to go ride my motorcycle. I rode my motorcycle in my earlier years, coast to coast. I love motorcycles. I love riding my motorcycle. I can't do it anymore. Does that mean my life is over? I drove a truck for a while. I drove coast to coast in the big truck. Love driving. Can't do that anymore. Well, I can drive a car, but I can't drive a truck anymore. I can't drive a stick shift anymore. I don't have a left leg to push down the clutch. I love doing grass. I love cutting my grass. I love doing lawn work. I can't get on my tractor and do it anymore. The brake pedal's on the left side. The clutch is on the left side. I have no left leg. There's so many things that you love to do, but now you have to figure out the things that you can do. And that's what I mean when I say we have our limits. We have roadblocks in front of us, but we have to make a choice. We all have to make that choice, whether we're going to let the roadblock stop us, or are we going to go around it? We're going to go over it. We're going to take a detour and go another way, do something else. That's the choices we make. One choice that we don't have, and one choice that I won't let you have, okay? If that makes sense, is I'm not going to let you quit. I'm not going to let you give up. I'm not going to let you sit back and say, woe is me. As long as you're listening to an apple a day, I'm not going to let you do that. That's not an option. Giving up is not an option. The mere fact that you're listening to this podcast says that you don't want to give up, that you're looking for another way to go. Surround yourself with positive people. Don't let people feel bad for you. Show people around you that you don't feel bad for you. That's the first step. That's the first step that you have to take, is show the people around you that you don't feel bad for you. This way, they don't feel bad for you. If you sit around all day having a pity party for yourself, other people are going to have a pity party for you as well. And sooner or later, they're going to get tired of this party, and they're going to walk away from you. You're going to find yourself all by yourself. You have to be positive. You be positive, and positive people will be around you. And you'll be surprised what comes up in your life then. If you're going to be one of these people that give up, I just give up. You know what's going to be around you? There's going to be losers. Because they can collude with you. They can sympathize with you. You give up, they give up, everybody gives up. You sit in a room, turn off the lights, and look at the darkness. If that's what you want to do, I have no time for you. I'll help anybody that wants to help themselves. There's an old saying, God helps those who help themselves. Can't be any more true. If you're going to sit there and wait for someone else to do for you, it's never going to get done, my friend. Never. You have to make the effort. We all have to make an effort to do for ourselves. You can't wait for someone else to do it for you. As far as your lawsuit, they're right. Riding a motorcycle, I rode motorcycles for years. They gave me a license. I had insurance. I had a license plate. If I had an accident, who do I sue? The road? The state that gave me the license? No. I'm doing it at my own risk. The same as you get in a car and you're driving your car. You're driving at your own risk. If you hit a wall, who are you going to sue? Yourself? Now, if somebody hits you, that's a different story. You're on a dirt track. You fell off a bike. I'm not trying to be cold or cruel. I'm just trying to be honest. You fell off the bike on a dirt track. Whose fault is that? It's really nobody's fault. You can't blame other people for what happens to you unless somebody actually did something to you. The guy that made the racetrack, made the dirt track, what did he do to you? He made a dirt track. I'm sure hundreds or thousands of other people ride that dirt track. You just happened to hit a bad spot and you fell. Was it your fault? Maybe. Was it the track's fault? Maybe, but we're never going to know this. Just know that you did this at your own risk. The judge was right. Why would you want to sue somebody else and take their money because of something that you did at your own risk? Like I said, I'm not trying to be cold or cruel, but don't have this entitlement attitude. Even though you're hurt, even though I'm hurt, I still have to do for myself. And the same thing goes for you, my friend. Same thing goes for all of us. You could sit there, again, like I said, you could sit there and wait for someone else to come along and do things for you, but it's never going to get done. Or if it does get done, it's going to get done years from now. You have to be your primary caregiver. I've said this before. Everyone else around you is a helper, but you're the one who is ultimately responsible. You can go to the doctor, and if you don't do what the doctor tells you, if you don't follow up with what the doctor tells you, if the doctor tells you to go home and take this medication, but you don't do it, who's to blame? Not the doctor. The doctor told you, right? You are your primary caregiver, and you got to keep that in mind. It's nobody else's responsibility. You may not, you act like you don't like our podcast, but you listen every week. I appreciate the fact that you listen. And by the mere fact that you're listening every week, that tells me something about you. That tells me that you're not ready to give up. And I'm sure you're not going to, Jordan. I'm sure you're not going to. I'm sure you're going to be better than what you're saying right now. You're in a dark spot. We all get into these dark spots. For 7 years, you've dealt with this. Now, all of a sudden, 7 years later, you're feeling like this? No, my friend. We all get into these funks. I've said that before. And we all have different degrees of disability, but we all get into these funks. And what we have to do is we have to work our ways through them. All right, evidently, you just lost your case. and I'm sorry about that. But you are collecting Social Security disability. So you do have an income coming in. All right, so you know what? Maybe right now it's impossible for you to see. Maybe you had this desire to buy a house by the beach. And right now you can't see yourself owning that. You can't see yourself ever owning that. Maybe that's true, but maybe it's not, okay? There's always a chance. As long as you have a positive attitude about things, there's always a chance. So you can't buy a house right now by the beach. What about renting an apartment or renting a room or going on a vacation by the beach? Look for the positive things that you can do. Don't look for the things that you can't. Look for the things that you can do, and that's the most important thing. As long as you can stay positive, as long as you can try your best to be positive. When things around you look like it's a no all the time, you find something around you that says yes. That'll keep you going, my friend. I'm not a preacher, or I'm not trying to preach to you. I'm just trying to pass along what I've learned over the years. Yeah, I used to be very negative, and I still am to a degree. I still am. I'd lie. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. Just ask my wife. But you can't always be negative. You have to learn somewhere along the way. You have to turn it around somewhere along the way. Forget about the things that you planned. Plans change all the time. So forget about that for now. Keep it in the back of your mind. It's always nice to think about, but put it out of the front of your mind. Start making new plans. Make the plans to fit your life now. All right? I hope things get better for you, Jordan. I hope you keep listening, and I'll be thinking about you. I'm sure a lot of people will. But I'm going to say this to you, and this might piss you off, my friend. This might piss you off. But things could be worse. I don't care how you put it. Things could always be worse. Jordan, you may be sitting in a chair. What could be worse than that? You could be laying in a box. You're sitting in a chair on this side of the grass. You could be laying in a box under it. So remember, things could always be worse. There's people out there that are striving, trying, wishing to have what you have right now. Just remember that, my friend. Jordan, thanks a lot for writing in. I really appreciate it, and I hope somehow this helped a little bit, and I hope to hear from you again. And as for everybody else, please, I want to hear from you. Tell us some of your positive things, or if you have some negative feelings, let us know that too. Maybe we can help. Drop us a line at admin@famousapple.com. Let us know some positive things. What did you do? Go skydiving in your wheelchair? Go water skiing on your head? I want to hear about it. We'll share it with the rest of the listeners here. So write it down, put it in an email, send it at admin@famousapple.com. And to all you new listeners, I thank you so much for stopping by. Please come back next week and listen in again. Join in the community. I will be back the early part of next week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'll be giving you a highlight of what's coming up next week, and we got a good one coming up next weekend for you. So this week here, I thought it was very important to talk to Jordan, and it went a little bit longer than we usually do, but I think it's very important when one of our listeners, one of our own, writes in, that we all pitch in and help. So thanks again for stopping by. I'll talk to you next week. My name is Jimmy Apple. This is an apple a day. Take care, my friends.
Thanks for listening to An Apple a Day with Jimmy Apple, your gateway to a happy, healthy life. Join our community at www.famousapple.com. See you next time.